Herkese merhabalar. Admissions Education'dan Yasemin Mutlu ben. Bugün bizimle Stanstead College, Quebec'ten, Kanada'dan bir okulumuz bizim misafirimiz. Director of Admissions, Patrick Fraser bizimle birlikte ve bu sunumu yapacak. Kendisi size okul hakkında, kampüs olanakları, üniversite sonuçları, birçok değerli bilgi paylaşacak. Sorularınız olursa sunum sonunda gönderebilirsiniz ya da chat kısmına bırakabilirsiniz. Ben şimdi kendisine teslim ediyor olacağım. Çok teşekkürler katılımınız için. Hi Patrick, thank you for joining us today for this session. We can begin the session anytime you want.
Thank you,
Great.
Yasmin. Yep, happy to be here tonight. Thank you all for attending and watching. I will start by sharing my screen here and make sure it
Great.
works. And then we will, okay, we're on like slide
The
5
floor
here.
is yours. Yeah, it's the...
Wonderful. Okay, no, we're at the beginning now.
Yes,
You can
thank
see
you.
it?
Yes,
Okay.
all good. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. So I'm going to go through a brief introduction about Stanstead College. And following the presentation, I hope to keep it within 20 minutes or so. I'll take any questions from the audience. Yasmin, great to see you again, and thank you for giving me the time to speak to some of your clients tonight. So Stanstead College, I'll start basically with the map of where we're located. So as you can see from here, Stanstead College is located in a small town called Stanstead. It is located in the province of Quebec, and it's right along the Canada-US border. Our campus is actually only about a 5-minute walk to Vermont. And this area of Quebec is a very unique area. I know that when people hear Quebec, they think French right away. And it's true, we are in a predominantly French-speaking province. But this area where we are, from Montreal kind of southeast to the US border, is a very unique part in Canada in the sense that it really is bilingual. I mean, you're just as likely to meet kids that speak both languages completely perfect just by virtue of living here. I always tell international students you do not need to have any previous experience with the French language to come to our school and succeed. We are an English school. Now, that said, if French is an area of interest, there's no better opportunity out there to, bolster your skills in maybe what is your second or your third or fourth language, really. So Montreal is, as you can see, it's the nearest big city, and it's the main access point for international families. There are plenty of direct flights through Europe to Montreal, and the distance driving there is about an hour and a half from the airport to the campus. And of course, as a boarding school with a sizable international population, we take care of the transportation door to door. This is kind of an aerial view of the campus. The school, as I mentioned, was founded over 150 years ago. So we are a very traditional type school in the sense of a daily routine and the academics first kind of ethos. Our youngest students are grade 7s. So we do start boarding at the youngest kids in the school, 12 years old, and going all the way up through to grade 12. There is no one year in particular where I recommend that kids enter. It's really it's based on your son or daughter, where they're at academically and where you're at as a family. So we accept students, qualified students, at all points along that grade 7 to grade 12 continuum. And I mean, as you can see from the notes there, very rural campus, very, very safe environment. the town of Stanstead is only 3,000 people, and being a border town, it's a very safe location. You don't have a lot of the same problems that or potential problems you might have in the bigger cities. Now, this next slide is just to kind of recap some of the basic numbers, which don't change all that much from year to year. So the three main ratios that we always try to stick to are number one, we're going to be 50-50 boys, girls. We're going to also be at least 75% full-time 7-day boarding students. That's a big, I think, thing to consider when you're looking at schools. This is a place where it's a 7-day a week program. It's not like on a weekend where all the local kids have gone home and the international kids are kind of just sitting around, maybe not so busy. This is a place where even the local domestic boarders are here. There's always something going on, and even the local day kids, like, we encourage them to be a part of the campus on the weekends and have their social life here. So as an international student, that you're still there's always something going on, suffice it to say. So percentage of boarders, even split boys and girls. And then the final one really is the representation of the school. So we do try to keep a strong majority Canadian and American. So we want to have it a North American character to the school. And from our international group, which is usually about 30%, 1/3 of the school, we're looking to be as diverse as possible there. So we have kids right now this year from 22 different countries. Next year, we're going to be actually right on 30. And yeah, that's going to include hopefully a few kids from Turkey. Eventually, we haven't had many Turkish students over the past couple of years since the pandemic, but hoping that'll change as we go forward. So Stanstead, first and foremost, of course, is a university prep school. That's the raison d'etre for the school going back decades. So we have accreditations on both sides of the border, Canada and the US. So the doors are really open for kids to explore opportunities, post-secondary opportunities on both sides of the border. On a typical year, I would say that about 2/3 of our graduates are staying in Canada. About 1/3 are going to the US, and then maybe a handful of others are going to go to Europe, go back to their home country, explore a gap year or a co-op opportunity. But basically, our college counseling program really begins in grade 10. And as the students go through their sophomore, their junior, their senior years, they're really working closely with the guidance team on, identifying schools that are of interest to them, identifying schools that offer the programs that they're looking for, that offer the environment that they want to be in, and obviously kind of tracking their grades and their test scores throughout to see where they're going to be competitive and what's a safe school, what's a reach school. But this dialogue is really, three ways, because it's the student, it's the counselor, and it's the parents also are often involved in these discussions as well. But we do a really good job at preparing kids for leading up to their applications and going through that process. So this is a visual representation of last year's graduate class, where our acceptances came from. So again, on a normal year, we're only graduating maybe 60 to 70 students in the grade 12 group. This Canadian list stays pretty consistent year after year. Personally, I find I've been here for 12 years now, and I find that like a lot of the kids that have gone to school here in a rural area, they're usually looking to go to the cities for college, just to get out and be a little more, have the little more excitement around them. So the Montreal schools are always very popular. McGill, Concordia, we're probably putting 10 to 12 kids in those schools every year. Bishops, which is the other English university in the province, is right up the road. That's obviously a popular landing spot. The Toronto schools are very popular. And then some of the schools out in Western Canada and Eastern Canada are also there on a year-to-year basis. About a third of the kids will go to the US for school. So again, on a normal year, that's probably going to be about 20 kids. I would say, in my experience, the international kids um, tend to split about 50-50 on whether or not they're going to stay in Canada or go to the US. Pretty much all the Canadian kids will stay in Canada. All the American kids will go back home to the States, and then the international group will kind of split accordingly. So this US list each year has a lot of variance to it. We definitely, we always are going to have a few Ivies on there, of course. We're going to have a few maybe less competitive state schools, and we're going to have a whole range in between, again, based on what the kids are looking for and what programs are really best suited to them that they've identified. So my next slide here is basically going to cover just what a typical day looks like. And I'm going to work from typical day to calendar year in terms of talking about the schedules. This is not going to be too different from most traditional boarding schools. Students are going to wake up between 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. Before school, they've got to check in at breakfast. They've got to tidy up their room. They've got to get their uniform on. The school day is going to begin at 8:30. It's a full academic day, 6 periods, couple breaks in between. We eat lunch as it says on there, family style lunch. So that's a little more formal lunch where students and teachers are sitting together. Then after their school day ends, they go back to the dorms. They get into their casual clothes again. Every day after school is either sports or club activities. I'm going to get into details about what's offered a little bit later on, but suffice to say that time after school up to dinner is kept busy through those activities. Dinner, a little bit of downtime, and then evening study. So, it's a very full day, Monday through Friday. The calendar year may be a bit different from what you or your sons and daughters are accustomed to in Turkey. Maybe it's similar. Our school year begins in early September, and it goes all the way through until June. There are 2 long breaks. The winter Christmas holidays in late December and the spring holidays in late March. So these are about 2.5 weeks. And pretty much all the international students are going to be going home for these breaks. On the March break, we do have a service trip option, which if anyone has any questions about that, maybe I can address privately later on. But those are the 2 times when the students will typically go home. Now, there are also 4 short, long weekend breaks throughout the year. So these are 5-day breaks. They start on a Thursday. They end on a Tuesday. The dorms do close during these breaks. But what we do offer here at Stanstead is a number of options for international kids. So, of course, number one, they can go home if they want to, I suppose, but it's pretty far to go for 5 days. What'll often happen is they'll do homestays with our local families. Our local families are really great about bringing in kids, but we also offer a school supervised trip on each of those short breaks. So these are just some examples. They do change a little bit from year to year, but for example, at the first break in October, that's typically Toronto, Niagara Falls. So we have a full itinerary of activities, stuff to do. The costs are all included. So they'll go on the Thursday, come back on Tuesday. The November trip is typically to New York City. There's usually a Disney World trip that takes place in there. So 4 fun trips that really do serve a couple purposes, right? It allows our students to see a little bit more of North America. And obviously for families, it's reassuring to know that on these breaks, they're still with the school and supervised and busy and having fun. So I mentioned before about what the kids are doing after school. And again, I said that we have sports and we have club activities. So while the academic year is linear, so the students are taking the same courses from September all the way through until June, the sports are done by term. So every student has to take a sport in the fall, in the winter, in the spring. Now, you can go, if you check out our website, you can see that each term there are between 6 to maybe 8 different offerings. Some of these are very competitive, team sports, varsity type sports. Others are more recreational, just get some exercise, have some fun. But the idea of having athletics as a mandatory part of the school curriculum kind of fits in with our motto, health, wisdom, integrity, healthy body, healthy mind. Club activities are also very diverse. Every teacher at the school will run a club. We always will offer the classic type, debating, chess, Model UN type clubs. And then there'll be some more just fun clubs that kind of crop up year to year, depending on what students are interested in. So that might be, horseback riding, French conversation, photography, stuff like this. But the idea is, of course, you're using your sports and clubs not only to stay healthy, but also to build up a number of things for your college applications as you move forward. So on the website, you can get a complete list of the offerings from year to year. And if you have any questions about, is this going to continue, or have you ever had a program like this, you can contact me and let me know. I'm going to move on and talk a bit about residence life. And this will be kind of the last bit of my presentation before I really open the floor. So again, we're a predominantly boarding school, and we have no intention of getting away from that. All international students will live in the dormitories with domestic boarders. So we don't have a homestay program or anything like that. We have 5 dormitories on the campus, and they're done by age and gender, right? So there are junior boys, which would be grade 7, 8, 9 boys. Same thing for junior girls. There's a grade 10 and 11 boys dorm, a 10 and 11 girls dorm, and then a co-ed grade 12 dorm with a boys side, a girls side, and then shared spaces for the kitchenette, the lounge, that kind of thing. If you're curious about those, you can go to on our website and on our YouTube channel. Just type in the name of the house, and you can go and see like a small kind of 2-3 minute video on the house. But suffice it to say, they're all the same in the structure. They all have live-in house parents. They're all 2 students per room, with the exception of the junior boys dorm, which sometimes has 3. But the idea here is that we're always going to match an international student up with a domestic student. We want English to be the spoken language in all the rooms. And if your son or daughter, let's say they come in 9th grade and they really get along with their roommate, it's very, very common that these 2 kids will kind of continue going forward into grade 10, grade 11, if they are, that's what they want to do. The grade 12 dorm is really a special one. It is two of these dorms actually are I'm going to say brand new, built within the last 5 years. But this grade 12 dorm really is unique in the sense that it is co-ed. It does have a bit of a different set of rules, but the idea here is we're kind of implementing a unique student life program that's really preparing these kids for that next year when they're on their own at university and don't necessarily have 24-hour-a-day supervision. We do a lot of life skills in this dorm that are really unique and special. And the review that we've kind of gotten back from kids that have gone on to university and kept in touch and visited, saying, we were prepared, no question, for what lies ahead. To conclude here, I'm just going to leave this slide up. This is just a couple of recent testimonials from our graduates. And I'm more than happy at this point, Yasmin, to take your questions or questions from the audience, or if there's anything you feel I missed, let me know. But thank you all for your attention, and I really hope to engage with some of you soon. I'm going to be available anytime to set up Zoom calls, emails, whatever. And either myself or someone from my office is going to be coming through Turkey in the fall. So we'd love to continue the conversation and possibly meet you in the fall. Thank you.
Patrick, thank you so much for the very informative session. We have some questions in the chat. Of course, this is about the fees. They are asking about the annual tuition fees and for international students, and they would like to know if there is any discount or scholarship, merit-based or financial aid that you offer for Turkish students.
Yeah, it's a great question, and one that's anticipated, of course. So our international fees this year are 87,000 Canadian dollars. So that equates to about 63,000 US. That tuition fee is pretty much all inclusive. The main extras that I would brief families that are kind of planning their budget on are obviously the travel to and from campus, the cost of a uniform. We do require that students bring a laptop. A lot of them already will have one. And then, whatever they're going to be doing over the breaks. But that's really kind of up to the families. Now, we do offer, there are opportunities for financial aid for international students and for Turkish students specifically. The real key here, though, is the timing of it. We operate on a rolling admission schedule. So we don't have a deadline for applications or for financial aid applications. But typically, we do have only a limited amount for international kids, and this gets, committed rather quickly. So I would say if a family is needing a bit of support to make this possible, and they do really like our school, and it's a strong candidate, I would say try to have your application to us before Christmas, and typically in January, February, that's when we would be, making any financial offers if required.
Great, thank you. There is one more question about university matriculations, but you already mentioned you covered in details. So maybe we will share the recording. It will be on our YouTube channel, so you can watch it. And also you are free to book one-on-one meetings with Stanstead College, whether Patrick or his colleagues. They are happy to offer one-on-one sessions if you're interested about learning more. Thank you so much, Patrick. It was a really insightful session. The recording will be available on our YouTube channel. Çok teşekkürler herkese dinlediğiniz için. Bahsettiğim gibi sorularınız olursa zaten her zaman bize ulaşabilirsiniz. Bizler sizin için randevular organize edebiliriz. Okul bilgilerini de paylaşacağız. Kendiniz de direkt toplantılar talep edebilirsiniz okulla. Çok faydalı olduğunu düşünüyoruz bütün veliler için. Thank you so much, Patrick. It was a great session. Thank you for your time. I'm sure all the parents really appreciate it. It was really, really informative. So if they would like to learn more, they will be contacting you directly.
Thank you so much, Yasmin. We're obviously just kind of wrapping up a recruiting cycle here. We've got a great group of students coming in next September. But already I'm kind of excited about meeting the new families in the fall that are looking for 2026. And I just want to conclude by saying I really appreciate our partnership with yourself, with Yeshim, with Admittance Education. You guys are wonderful, and you do a great job for your clients. I know that from many years of experience.
Thank you so much for your nice words. Thank you. Thank you.